Hello and welcome back to Artisan Electrics, where today I'm going to show you the most unique electric vehicle charger I've ever seen before. This is really unique. So this is the EVO EV electric vehicle charging point. Have you ever seen a metal electric vehicle charging point before? I certainly haven't. For me, this is something completely unique. Military grade stainless steel, built like a tank. Looks pretty awesome, if you ask me. They've got a range of 5 different chargers. I'm going to show you those briefly now, and then we're going to go to my house, we're going to put it on the wall, install it, try it out, and I'm going to give you my honest opinions. As always, if you enjoy our videos, hit a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Let's get into it. So this is the GT model. It's a tethered charger, and as you can see, it's got this kind of hexagonal shape to the front. So this is the GS model, untethered rather than tethered. And this one, rather than just the faceplate that I showed you, it's got all the guts in it below here. So when we say, just for those of you who don't know, this is untethered. It means it's got a socket in the front. Tethered is where it's got a cable attached that can wrap around the charging point. But again, it's got all the same features, but just a slightly different look, and it's untethered. So this is the RS model, and it's again a tethered unit, but as you can see, slightly different look to it. It's got the base plate, it's got this kind of front plate that enables you to wrap the cable around it. Pretty sturdy old beast. I'll show you the tethered cable here. There's something unique about this tethered cable, so watch to the end and I'll show you this at the end when I'm installing it and plugging it into my car. So this is the SV model. Again, a tethered. This is just the front plate that I've got to show you, so it mounts on the same base as the previous model that we showed. All of these covers are interchangeable, which is really nice. So you've got the base plate, it's like the guts of the thing, and then you just mount a different fascia on depending on which version you want. But it's a little bit more simplistic, this. It's just kind of a rectangular box, but it is designed to be a tethered unit. So this is the SR model, an untethered. Again, we've got the socket in the front here, and all the wires here that are ready to connect into the base plate that we talked about. First thing I have noticed about all these charge points is that if you do that, you get fingerprints on them. Slightly annoying, but they've given me a great little tip, which is that you got to lube them up with a bit of baby oil, and then it gets rid of all the fingerprints and makes them look absolutely pucker. So there are 2 different base plates that fit these various front plates, obviously an untethered version and a tethered version. I'm going to get this untethered one open now and just see what the base plate looks like and what the guts inside of it are. We've got to remove these 2 screws completely. And the whole thing just levers up and slides off, and then we can see the brains of the operation. Now, in terms of safety, why is it called the Safe Charge? Well, it's got this contactor in it, right? This isn't your normal contactor that you get in an electric vehicle charging point. This is an industrial grade contactor which provides full galvanic isolation in the event of a fault. For example, a pen fault. So it's got pen fault protection built into it. It's got Type-A RCD with 6 mA DC protection built into it as well. It's got earth loss protection in it as well. So it has all the safety features that you could ever want in an electric vehicle charging point, but they've gone that extra level with this, that it's a real high-end charger in terms of safety, because you've got full galvanic isolation, which is very unique for a charging point, and they do that by means of this proper industrial grade contactor. So if you'd like to find out more about this EVO Safe Charge, head to the link in the description or the pinned comment, where you can go to their website and see more about the product, the pricing, etc. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do, because we've got loads of great content coming up for you guys, and we'd really love you to join the Artisan movement and follow us on our journey. It's free to subscribe, and if you hit the notification bell, then you won't miss out on future videos. So we're going to head to my house now and I'll show you the install process. So we're here, we're going to get this thing on the wall. I've already had a previous charging point here. As our regular viewers might know, my wall here has more holes in it than the Holy Wall of Jerusalem, but I'm going to add a couple more holes, unfortunately, for this new charger. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it looks on the wall, how it works, and I'm going to talk you through some more of the features and see how we install it. So as you guys know, if you watch the channel regularly, I'm a big fan of the Hypervolt chargers, and that's the one that I've just taken out here at my house to put this new one in. I do love the Hypervolt, nothing wrong with it at all. It's an absolute brilliant charger. But for the sake of my viewers, I feel like I need to change the charging point regularly so that I can try out new charging points, and also for customers as well, so that we can tell them the complete range of products that are out on the market and give them different options based on their circumstances. So we're changing it again this time. Cabling is already in though, so it makes the install a lot easier. So this is one cable that we don't need for this EVO charger, and the reason is it's a dumb charger. What do I mean by dumb? Well, it's not smart. In other words, it's not connected to the internet. Now, they've done this on purpose because they found that a lot of people don't want a smart charger for various reasons, really. There's one extremity of the type of people who just don't really like things in their home being connected to the internet and potentially being monitored by the government, the grid, and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got the other side of it where maybe like an elderly lady or something like that, she doesn't have a smartphone, she doesn't know how to program an app to charge at certain times and things like that. She just wants to be able to plug her car in, it charges up, and then unplug it in again in the morning. In those situations, again, a dumb charger is quite a good idea. So I know we're going the way of smart chargers, that is the future for grid management and everything like that, but for certain customers in a certain niche, this product is ideal because of the fact that it's not a smart charger. But let me know all your thoughts about that in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. I've decided to go with the Tethered Charger. It's got a 5.5 meter tethered cable on it. The Hypervolt that I've just removed has got a 5 meter cable, so that's perfect. 5 meters is good enough for me. And the reason I go with Tethered is just more convenient. No plugging and unplugging of a separate cable, getting the cable out the boot of the car and all that. So I always recommend Tethered to most customers because it is more convenient. But this one, obviously, we've got 3 different fascias. So I'm gonna put it on with this fascia, but what we'll do is we'll try the other 2 fascias as well and just show you what they look like. First thing, amazing quality stainless steel compression gland. Never seen a charger with one of those on before, so that's really cool. And this kind of gland for the tethered cable as well is quite an impressive piece of kit. So I mean, overall quality wise so far this seems kind of pretty bulletproof and built to last, which is of course what we like to see at Artisan because we're all about quality, especially for anything that we're going to recommend to our customers. Going to just get it lined up, drill some holes, screw it to the wall, and then see if the cable fits. So it comes with a nice range of good quality fixings, raw plugs, stainless steel screws, and these washers that have got rubber backs in order to maintain the IP rating of the fitting. So that's really good to see. If you plan on installing this, make sure you've got an 8mm drill bit. I just thought I'd found one then, and it's a 5.5. Doesn't want to go. Okay, I'm just going to try just to line this up. Oh, it's so heavy. Yeah. It's like a 2-man job just to hold it up. Okay, I've got a fixing at least temporarily, just so that I can line the thing up, get the other holes marked, and then even if I have to pop and get an 8mm drill bit, it's not the end of the world. So the tool of the day is this little Marksman. I ordered like 30 of each of these because the guys get through them a lot, and Luke always nicks mine, or that's what I say anyway, just to tease him, because mine always seem to go missing. But yeah, there's a link in the description if you want to get one of these to mark your holes. Got to be honest, it's a bit tight in this top right hand corner. to get that fixing marked. It's tighter than I would like because of the corner of the circuit board there. So I think for that one I'm just going to have to mark it with a screwdriver. Don't want to ruin one of my nice screwdrivers. So we've got a mark there, so that's one way of doing it. I've got to leave it a little bit loose as well because it doesn't want to fix. The cover doesn't want to go on. Basically the top hooks over, but oh, that's it. Alright, that's fine. I'm just going to hook that on. Gonna go to the wholesaler, grab an 8mm drill bit. I'm sure we'll come back here and then we'll need something else, but there's nothing else that I can think of at the moment. We've got the cable. All it is a case of terminating it into there. We've got crimps. I think I've got a crimping tool, so that should be all we need really. So we'll just shoot over there now. I've got a weird brain for music and languages, so I kind of pick things up like that, really weird, useless things, like they stick in my brain for some reason. Like I know how to say random electrical items in Croatian and Dutch and stuff like that. Hoe gaat het met de verlichting in de hoofdzaal? And in Croatian, like Svietlo is lights, and Utičnica is socket, Prekidač is switches, and lots of weird things like that. My favourite word in Croatian is kikiriki. So if you know what kikiriki means, let me know in the comments. Classic tune. Good, how are you? Do you have an 8mm SDS drill bit that I could purchase from your good selves? That's it. We've had it with you guys. Are you serious? You've not got an 8mm drill bit? Oh no. Even a non-SDS one, like a normal 8mm. That means we're going to have to go to TLC. And if TLC don't have one, then we're going to have to go a notch further down the rung and go to Screwfix. So you realise what pain you're causing me right now. What else might I need? Tape. White tape. Blue tape. And some big wipes as well. Thanks, Ian. See ya. As you can see, they give us a VIP parking, which means we can park any way that we want. So good old TLC saved the day. Got this nice DeWalt 8mm drill bit. It's a little bit over the top, a bit too long for what we need, but it was all they had and it's going to do the job. So heading back home. 1 hour later, and the rain is heavier. Now we're ready to drill some holes. Solid as a rock. So let's figure out how to connect this thing up. Just rest that on there for the moment. This is our supply cable, so I'm just going to re-terminate this. Now this is an armoured cable, but I've grounded it at the other end, and this end I've just put heat shrink around it. We want to separate the earthing system of the house from the earthing system of the charging point because it's got pen fault protection in it, so you don't want to have two different earthing systems that you can touch at the same time. So I'm going to thread this through this beast of a whisker gland, like so, and it just fits, which is nice. A little bit too long actually, but I can get rid of the excess spare cable outside here. And then this is the part where I should probably start looking at the instructions. Supply wiring. So we need to pass the supply earth through CT3 and connect it to the terminal PE in.
and then we need to connect the supply live and neutral directly to the terminals live in and neutral in. So that's fairly straightforward. It does say use M4 4 to 6 mils insulated ring crimp terminal connectors when terminating the supply cable. So that's why they've supplied us with these ring crimps. Unfortunately, I do have a ring crimping tool. That is one of the few tools that still is with me, that hasn't been taken by my horde of electricians who now work for me. Being an electrician is like riding a bike. Once you've learnt, you don't forget the basics. But you've got to keep up to date with the latest regulations and stuff. So we've got this little flip up terminal, which is quite nice, just to protect all these live connections, or the various connections. The protective earth needs to go through this CT clamp in order to have the correct earth loss monitoring for that to work properly. Now, another thing that we've got to think about with this charger is the fact that it's got a metal case means that there could be potential issue when the supply cable comes in. Imagine if the supply cable was damaged and it shorted out to the metal case or the metal gland here. You could have an event where, because there was a short to earth, the metal casing could become live, and if there was no RCD protection upstream, then you would have a problem with the casing of this charging point coming live under fault conditions. For that reason, they recommend that although the charger has got a Type-A RCD with 6 mA DC protection built in, it's worth having a Type-A RCD upstream as well, or Type-AC RCD, just to protect that cable really. Nobody's going to get an issue because it's going to trip out before there are any problems. This is one great safety feature of this charger, is actually the way they require you to do the terminations with these ring crimps, because it means that once that's secured into the terminal, it's pretty much impossible for anyone to pull it out. Whereas if it was just a normal wire straight into the terminal, you could obviously pull it out, or if the supply cable got tugged too hard, you could end up pulling out of the terminal and shorting out onto the casing. So it's a clever safety feature that they've put into this, and it's not difficult to do. They give you plenty of space for the terminations, so it makes it quite easy to connect. So we've got our main earth connection in, our circuit protective conductor coming in onto this terminal, coming through the CT clamp so that it can measure any earth leakage that's coming in, and then we've got our live in and our neutral in. Just going to clean out a bit of the brick dust that happened to get in here, just to make sure that it's nice and clean and smart inside. There has got a little bit of moisture in there just from the rain, not too much, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave this little silica gel packet inside, and that will help to absorb any extra moisture. So this little lead that goes to the light on the front, I think it's actually a button on the front, that needs to plug in. So we've got to plug this lead up here, and that little one, it's very tight, very tight. Trying to find my way in the dark here really. So I finally managed to get this little lead attached. It was a little bit fiddly because it's right up next to the contactor, but what I found is that if you install the small one first, then the larger one underneath, then it goes in a bit easier. So I managed to do that now. Clean some of the brick dust off a bit first, and that should. I've made a fatal error, guys. So I was struggling to get the lid on, and I realised the reason is we were supposed to use these spacers behind the screws just to space it slightly out of the wall so that the lid fits over the top easily. So unfortunately I'm going to have to just loosen off these screws and then refit them. Right, that is much better. It's now proper solid on the wall. Try again. Well, that's it, it's on, and I'll be honest, when I first saw it I wasn't that keen on the way it looked, but actually on the wall I think it looks pretty smart, and it is so solid. I mean, it's you're not worried about that getting hit by a falling tree and smashing to pieces. It is so solid. So the tether cable as well, I think it looks quite nice how it just tucks on the top there. It's just kind of tucked out of the way without having to have a holster and stuff. I think that's really cool. But I'm going to liven it up now and just plug it in and see if it works. So now it's livened up and we do the commissioning process, which is very simple. Switch on the supply circuit breaker, we've done. During boot up the charging station, we'll go through a self-diagnostic sequence and have a flashing red, green and blue LED, which it did have. Once the device has completed its boot up, the device will have a slow flashing blue LED to show it's ready for charging. It says the push button is used to engage the contactor. When the contactor is open, the car is fully galvanically isolated from the charger and the main supply, meaning there is no flow of electricity to or from the vehicle. When the contactor is engaged, the push button can no longer be used to stop charging. This is to prevent any malicious intent to disrupt your charging schedule. So we'll just plug it into my Tesla now and see what it does. So it's white at the moment. If I press the button on the charger, contactor engaged, red light. Will my car charge? That is the question. So that's it, we are charging and it's ramping up to 32 amps as we speak, so all is good. Now this plug is unique in that it has a thermal cutout in the plug. That's something that no other charger on the market has right now. And what that means is it's reading the temperature in the plug, and if it gets too hot, it will cut out the charger. Because what has been happening with some charging points, the plug overheats and it actually melts and welds itself into the charging socket on the vehicle, and that can be a very expensive problem if the whole charging port has to be removed and replaced, just because of maybe a slightly loose contact or something like that. So this thermal reading in the plug and the thermal cutout solves that problem, which I think is a fantastic idea. So now the charger is flashing green, so we know that we are charging. We can see that indicated on here. We've got it working, looks great, works great. Now we're going to flip the other covers on and just see what they look like. So this is the GT version, Gran Turismo, I don't know what it stands for, but I think it looks pretty cool as well. Obviously the difference is you don't have the thing around it to wrap the cable around, but they do provide you with something else for that. So they give you this thing, which is also stainless steel, and it's basically just like a holster to wrap the cable around. So if I wanted to, I could use this one, whack that on the wall and use that to holster the cable around. So this is the SV version, and again I think it looks good. You know, they all look smart because they're stainless steel and they're all solid as a rock. Again with this one you don't have the beveled edge to hold the cable, so you use the separate holster, but I think this looks really good as well. Between the three, I'm probably going to go back to the first one that I installed, because I just think that's a little bit more practical and easy to wrap the cable round and just have it there rather than having a separate holster. But I guess it's all just down to each personal taste. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer, the SV, this one, the GT, the hexagonally one, or the first one. So this charger has a plethora of safety features in it, so many in fact that I can't memorize them all, so I'm just going to read them to you. So here we go. It's got integrated 30 milliamp Type-A RCD protection and 6 milliamp DC protection. It's got loss of pen conductor protection, or PME fault protection, which means it doesn't require an earth rod. It's got touch current protection. It's got thermal protection of the tethered gun or socket, which I showed you. It's got surge protection device built into it as well. Amazing. It's got loss of protective earth protection. It's got welded contact detection, overcurrent protection, thermal limit protection, CP and PP fault diagnostics, and ground impedance exceeds 200 ohms. In other words, if you're on a TT system and it goes over 200 ohms, it will cut out as well. It's got a 3-year warranty on it. It's robust, it's made of stainless steel, and I'm quite impressed with it. For a new product, there are a few little teething problems, I would say, or things that they could do to improve, but for somebody who wants something that is super solid like this, they don't particularly want a smart charger, but they just want one that they can plug in, press the button and charge their vehicle. I think it's perfect. And the interesting and clever thing about it is that this button activates the contactor for 24 hours, and then you can plug your vehicle in, and if your vehicle has timed charging on it anyway, then you can still program your vehicle to charge up using the cheap electricity. So it's not like you're losing out on cheap overnight rates or anything because you've not got a smart charger. It's just that it isn't a smart charger because it's not connected to the internet, and therefore when all this grid load balancing stuff is happening that a lot of people don't agree with, they don't want anyone to interfere with their charger, if you're one of those kind of people who wants to avoid any government control, then this might be the charger for you. It's built like a tank, and it has some great features, and it does what it says on the tin, plus it looks pretty good. If you'd like to find out more about this charger, there's a link in the description where you can find out more. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, it really helps our channel to grow, and we'll see you on the next one. If my wall survives for another round, we might be doing another charger here one day soon. Thanks for watching, have a great day.